Yo, what up? It's JSF, and I want to talk about something that I've known about for a long time, something that I've never liked, and something that has been brought to my attention recently with what's going on with new fighting games like Street Fighter 5, etc. And it's something that's, like I said, it's been around for a long time. And if you look at the title of this video, you already know what I'm talking about. But I know some of y'all will be like, well, what do you mean? Like, you don't even know that this is a thing. I know some people won't believe you when you bring this up because that's how I had like some of my first riffs in the FGC due to people just not believing me when I brought this topic up. But then some of you would be like, oh yeah, this is definitely a thing and it's super obvious nowadays. And that's developer favoritism in fighting games. And the thing about it is sometimes it's just flat out, hey, we as a dev think this character should be good, right? We want this character to be better. Like, and then other times it's like, well, this character is the face of the franchise. This character is going to be a character that's played a lot. This character should have certain tools. And I think there's a way to do it and a way not to do it, right? Like, for example, with Street Fighter, Ryu is the face of the franchise. He's, he's the character that's going to be who everybody is playing in the game for the most part. Not everybody, but a lot of people. So Ryu should have, you should be able to play Ryu and figure out the game. Now, Capcom seems to understand that, but they don't even always make Ryu top tier. He's not even always good. He's just Mr. Street Fighter. But then you have other characters in the game who they like, we want to promote this character, so they make the character extremely stupid. And the problem with that is when you make these types of commitments, when you're developing a game with this kind of standard, it means balance is on the back burner. So you're not designing the game with balance in the forefront of your mind. It isn't about, hey, let's make these characters as even as possible. Let's make every character viable. It's, hey, this character needs to be represented more. This character needs to be good, etc. This is why it's a big problem. And you see it with characters like Luke in Street Fighter 5, who, when he was released, people were trying to figure out and quickly realized, yo, this character's good. And then even, a little bit after that, realized, oh, this character's really good. Probably the best character in the game. And then they just had a balance patch where a lot of characters got nerfed, a lot of characters got buffed, but a lot of the top tier characters got tweaked a bit, to be less, ridiculous, and Luke kind of just dodged every possible nerf. So it's now at the point where, like, most of the pro players are like, yo, you kind of have to play Luke. Or it's like, is everybody going to pick Luke? Should we ban Luke? And it's like, Luke's not even that broken to the point where he needs to be banned. It's just that there's no reason not to play Luke. And the reason he's like this is because Capcom as a developer had favoritism and wanted to push and promote this character. If you don't believe that, he's in the Street Fighter 6 trailer. He's been said to be a part of the future of the Street Fighter franchise. They got him in that King of Fighters crossover game. They got him in all kind of promotional material now. There is an agenda to promote Luke. I know that sounds like, oh, that sounds like a conspiracy. It's like, no, there's an agenda to promote this character. And this is nothing new. Like, I realized that this was a thing in Injustice 1 in 2013. And I was like, wait, they made Batman and Superman purposely good. They made other characters purposely not as good, or just didn't put as much time and love into them. People are like, why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. They're trying to balance every character to be even. It's like, no. They know that these characters are going to be the most popular, the faces of the franchise, etc. So they put more time and love into them. In this situation, though, would say Luke in Street Fighter 5, it's we want this character to be seen more, to be played more, to be liked more, to be just like, we want this character to become synonymous with Street Fighter, so we're okay with everybody playing Luke. The problem with that is the community isn't okay with everybody playing Luke. It makes the game dry, it makes the game boring. It just, like, it's always better to have more representation in fighting games. Well, in life in general and everything, because we ain't all the same. But with fighting games, especially competitive play, it's so stale. Like, who wants to watch a tournament with 8 Lukes in top 8? That's not exciting, it's not interesting. It gets dry really, really fast. And you would think by now in 2022 the developers just know better and go, okay, we can make the character strong or make the character viable without going over the top and out of our way. But apparently they still don't know how to do it, at least Capcom doesn't. And I mean, I feel like this could have been a thing with I can't really say it was a thing with Mortal Kombat because not 11 because the characters that were top tier were kind of just not random, but there wasn't always like a method to it. Like I don't think they thought, oh, Aaron Black's a character that needs to be top tier. Like you know what I mean? They kind of just landed how they landed because they just didn't balance well. And that's the other thing that people say, like, oh, it's impossible to balance a fighting game. It's impossible to make all the characters even. And while it may be impossible to make every character exactly the same as far as like how strong they are, it's definitely not impossible to have a balanced fighting game. It's not impossible to have a fighting game where every character is viable. It's not impossible to have a fighting game where there's a reason to play every character. Aside from, I like this character. Because even if a character's bottom one, even if a character is definitively bottom one and you know the character is trash, and if you really love that character and enjoy playing that character, you still might play that character, right? That, like, you might still go ahead and do that anyway. So there can definitely be a way to design a fighting game where other characters are viable, not just Luke, right? And I mean, you might have to tweak Luke and tone him down a little bit, but you can also make other characters better. Introduce characters that counter him or that can deal with him. Characters that have even matchups with him and that are still good. So it's like, okay, I don't lose to Luke. I can realistically beat him half the time. And my character is well enough that they can just deal with most of the cast. A lot of times what people in the community and what developers don't realize is that when you have a game where, let's say, 6 characters are top tier and they're the only 6 characters really worth playing, they're just better than everybody else, you don't even need to change those 6 characters, right? Or let's say there's 10 characters who are viable, 5 characters who are not, and those 5 characters are never played. All you have to do is buff the characters that are weak. Like, it's something that I've always thought with, like, games like Mortal Kombat 11, where I'm like, Frost was terrible the entire game's life. It doesn't ruin the game if you buff that character. Like, if you actually made Frost have useful crushing blows, if you actually made her buttons not be death on whiff, like, you know what I mean? You actually give her, like, an auto shimmy string or something, it wouldn't just suddenly break the game, right? It just wouldn't. So why not do it? But I don't think developers are thinking that way. Or maybe they're always in a time crunch and they just don't have time to put the little bit of effort that needs to go into other characters. I don't know. But I think developer favoritism and shit like this is I'm not gonna say ruin fighting games. It is ruining fighting games for some people in some situations. Fighting games are still fighting games and I still love them, but it definitely makes the game less interesting, makes people less enthusiastic about playing it. Like, I've already seen multiple pro players. You see people like Daigo talking about it, Punk talking about it. Like, damn, I'm probably going to just play Luke. I'm probably going to play Luke in this matchup. I think everybody's going to play Luke. You see people like Tokido already switching to Luke and playing Luke. So, it's a lot of that. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. Developer favoritism in fighting games, why it's a problem, why it shouldn't be a thing. Like I said, you can want a character to be represented. You can want a character to be like Ryu, right? Like the face of the franchise. I want Luke to have a cancelable. Like when I saw Luke's gameplay, I already knew what it was. I was like, oh, he has a fireball, he has a DP, he has a cancelable low forward. He's Ryu. He's actually Ken, right? That's not the problem. The problem is you made him so ridiculously powerful and then you didn't nerf him when you knew he was ridiculously powerful. So you doubled down on wanting him to be the best in the game. That's the problem. The other issue is if you're going to make a character the best in the game on purpose, that's not necessarily a problem, right? And I didn't play Killer Instinct. I watched a lot of it, and I've heard a lot of talk about it, but apparently there was a definitive best character in the game. There was a character in that game who was designed on purpose to be the best character in the game. But guess what? She still wasn't the character that was played the most. She didn't dominate the tournament circuit. You know why? Because she was the most complicated character to use. There was a crutch to it. With a character like Luke, it's, hey, he's the best character in the game and he's dummy easy. Because we just want to make characters easier to play in Street Fighter. But we also want him to be the best. So we're going to give him all the tools because we want him to be the face of the franchise. We're going to make him easy because we want people to use it and we want to make Street Fighter games a little more accessible in general. But we also want him to be the best. And that's just a cocktail for horrible game design. It's like Superman in Injustice, where literally he would just do one block string into one special move. And because that one string was so fast, so strong, and that one special move was basically zero on block, he could just loop that shit. You literally had to guess in neutral all the time. It was so stupid. And it's just something that, like, I would hope by now developers know better. I know Capcom isn't always up to date on shit. A lot of Japanese fighting game devs are out of touch. Like, what they were saying about free-to-play fighting games and, like, not really taking it seriously kind of just shows more that they're out of touch, because free-to-play fighting games is what a lot of us believe is the future. And honestly, games would do a lot better in the sense of having more players, having more exposure, and making more money if you had a good free-to-play model. But hey, I'm not a fighting game dev, so what do I know? Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think developers are out here making characters stupid on purpose? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think it's fine to make a character really, really good, really top tier, and make them really easy to play? If I haven't made a whole video about that, I have a whole video in my head about it, but let me know. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Y'all stay safe. JSF, I'm outie. Peace.